Hey, Rick. Welcome back, everybody, to Carl and Rick Talk Risk.
Good morning, everyone. Carl,
Rick,
it's
we
late afternoon. For me, it's early morning on the west coast of Canada. You know,
yeah,
Carl
yeah,
forces me to get up hyper early. It really sucks.
I know. Before Tim Hortons opens, I mean, this is
Yeah, I know. Like, I mean,
bordering
I
on
haven't,
criminal.
all I've got is really, really, really crappy hotel coffee.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah,
you
I
know
know
your
that.
hotel hasn't got the memo when they don't have a Keurig machine and all they have is one of those old style coffee machines with a little bag for coffee.
Oh yeah, yeah. Thought hotels had moved on from that a while back. Okay,
Well,
well,
where I'm at, which will remain nameless, hasn't moved on as a city, so why should its hotel be?
yeah, exactly.
I feel like I'm in a bad version of the height of the COVID. Anyhow, I'll shut up.
Well, it's been retro hour so far, Rick, because we've talked about Catbird, which I hadn't heard for quite a while from the Dilbert cartoons, and I love Catbird. Is such a good character in the in the strip. Um, and Jerry Lewis, who I'd never heard of, and you're my I don't know what the word is, but you exposed me to a lot of popular culture that I missed out on. So Jerry Lewis, the
So, folks, that is
comedian.
basically Carl telling it like it is and telling me that I'm an old fart and I know all these historical things, and someone had better quick come do a video interview with me before all this historical knowledge is lost.
But you
Good
see, I didn't
God.
say that.
Oh, you
I didn't.
just implied it.
I,
Jeez.
no, but the thing is, I do actually enjoy old stuff. If you got Katya or if you got my wife on the line instead of me, she would
Yes,
confirm that
please, let's do
I
that.
almost exclusively watch movies from the 70s and 80s to her chagrin. Um, so yeah, I do like old stuff. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with this, Rick,
I have
but
no
we
idea
wanted to
either.
we wanted to talk communication. Um, and I think it's popped up for me a few times this week, and in our usual back and forth about I don't know Formula One and all kinds of other topics. We spoke about we thought of the topic: how straight should you be with your audience as a risk manager? And I guess to get things going, I guess it kind of depends who you're talking to, right? Because risk managers have a lot of stakeholders. Um, I think more than other teams like the front office. We need to talk to the regulator. We need to talk their language. We need to talk to the traders and the front office people executing trades, of course. We also need to be able to talk to audit and compliance and all the kind of teams we work pretty closely with. Um, so it's not always easy to be a straight shooter. I think because of that. Um, I do notice because we've touched on this over the past couple of months, and I've mentioned it's working with the front office makes work a lot more fun as a risk manager because you get closer to where you have an impact, and they like straight shooters, and I kind of like that too. They're just like just tell me, right? Whereas with a lot of those other stakeholder groups, you kind of have to waft around and convince and soften the blows, and that can be a little for me it can be a little frustrating actually to build a whole story like that. um so yeah, but what was your, can you take us back a little bit first, and what was your, like, what did you learn about communication when you were in your early roles?
Um, I'm going to go and take this out of context just for a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. Um, I'm a little bit socially autistic. That's not a big secret to anyone who knows me. And I totally unintentionally tend to tick people off totally unintentionally because, there's not a lot of filters between what my little inner catbird in my brain is thinking and what comes out um in what I say or in what I write.
Mm.
And I don't mean to be insulting, but it was at the university once, and at a faculty meeting, I said something, and a bunch of people got really upset. And then someone came by my office later and said, A, that they agreed with me, but they also said, well, I just took it as Rick being Rick.
Yeah.
And it makes you step back. Now, admittedly, in academia, we are the masters of couching statements. In fact, we go full-blown sofa with sofa cushions and all the
Yeah.
layers of Afghans, et cetera, et cetera. But in risk management and your comments about working with the front office, let's just take a trading floor versus a sales floor. Okay. There used to be the old joke, how do you tell a bond salesperson from a bond trader? And the joke is, of course, one of them says, bleep you, after they hang up. And, the, there's actually a lot of truth in that old joke. Um, certain areas, particularly in financial institutions, but this is true of all organizations, there's levels of bluntness that um, become the communication norm. And one of the things is at one end, we have the regulatory stuff, which is now, for lack of a better term, and I'll probably get criticized for this by the regulators, but it's 100% formalized.
Mm.
Okay. Or almost 100% formalized. And basically, it could and should be done by AI almost entirely. No humans need be involved, though at the vast majority, again, speaking of mainly financial institutions, which I have the most experience with, that's what takes a tremendous amount of human resources to put together this report that, in some sense, says nothing.
Yeah.
Um, when I teach corporate finance, I tell students that a company's financial statements are next to useless.
Mm.
Everything of interest is in the notes. No, buddy, the notes.
Mm.
Okay. And no one looks at the notes because we don't have algorithms. Well, actually, now we do have machine learning coming over notes and analyzing annual reports. But that stuff's not in the traditional textbooks. And I think that there's a lot of that in in risk management. So we should go
Mm.
back to the origins of this because you recommended a particular podcaster who
Oh,
has a phone-in part, and this
yeah.
particular podcaster, I don't think that we want to name them for a
Oh,
variety of reasons. My
oh, okay.
my legal pockets aren't quite that deep enough. I don't want to play libel, but basically they make and it's a financial advice podcast, and basically
Yeah.
they tell their listeners who phone in de facto, well, you're stupid. No wonder you're poor. And
Yeah.
we simply don't do that in risk management.
Yeah.
And not that we want to go to the extent of you're stupid, but um, at times, at times, I think that risk managers need to have more of a personality, show more of their personality, communicate more of their personality,
Mm.
and quite frankly, be more blunt. Tell it like it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you triggered me because I'm a big fan of that radio show that you mentioned, and
Carl likes to
um,
be called an idiot. So
Oh yeah. No, I think there's something to it. Again, my wife will disagree hard, but because I watch. I mean, this is kind of what I watch in the background or listen to quite a lot. These calls, and I mean, uh, you get. I mean, people know what they're gonna get, right? People call in knowing that. Listen, they're gonna be torn a new one because they know they're being irresponsible and they still call in. I think there's something very human about that. That you can know something, you can know it's wrong, you can know I'm on the wrong path, but I don't know. Sometimes there's a you need somebody who knows their stuff that you can talk it out with, and that's going to tell you, listen, yeah, you're being an idiot. Like you're falling off the wagon, and like that for me that's motivational to hear that. But I think I mean you focused on that part. Um, I've watched many hours of that call-in show, and I think it's the other part that would be interesting for people, the people calling in, right? Being able to pick up the phone to a risk manager and say, listen, this is where I'm at. This is what happened. Uh,
well,
to be able to talk it through. I think that's the real powerful part. It almost doesn't matter what the response is.
on that I totally agree. And in the corporate workshops I do on work on risk management, that's exactly how I try to position risk management. That's in part why I have my definition of risk. Risk is possibility that a good thing may happen, and risk management is managing so as to increase the probability and magnitude of good risk and decrease probability and severity of bad risk. But also, I emphasize that traditionally and currently, in most firms, risk management is the department of no, whereas
Mm.
risk management should be the department of how can we do it better.
Yeah.
But to get from the department of no, which is basically binary, yes, you can, no, you can't, or
Yeah.
this is too risky, to how can we do it better, you need a conversation.
Yeah.
Risk management has to turn from a binary function or even a digitized function as, this is, cool, lukewarm, hot, whatever your organization uses for their levels of risk, to let's discuss this. And true conversations are blunt, but we don't have the conversations, and the conversation should be a priority,
Yeah.
not after the fact. So we
Yeah.
did this, what's the risk?
Yeah.
Um, and risk is becoming digitized. And by the way, I'm a huge fan of digitization, but you have to remember with digitization, you lose stuff. And what you lose is you lose the conversation. You lose the telling it what like it is.
Yeah.
You lose the bluntness.
Yeah. 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 We should be less afraid to ask the stupid questions and walk over and ask, listen, what exactly is going on here? What do you see in the market? Um, and that's always been one of my favorite parts about risk management is that you can step back, right? You're not in a time crunch where you need to make the trade in the next 5 minutes. You can step back and ask some of those questions and get a full understanding of an issue. And yeah, sometimes we don't. Um,
Actually, I don't even think it's a full understanding of the issue that's required or even desired. I think it's a different understanding of the issue. It's looking at issues from a different lens.
yeah, yeah,
But
um,
also, let's just veer here slightly again, perhaps insulting a large proportion of our viewers. But when we're talking about communication, telling it like it is,
mm,
uh, you've got a graduate degree in risk management. How many communication courses did you take?
yeah, one that I can remember, and it didn't leave a mark. Yeah.
How many communicating quantitative idea courses did you take?
Uh, What was the last part?
Communicating quantitative idea
Ah,
courses. As
none
risk
where I had to
managers, we
stand up.
suck.
Yeah, none where I had to stand up and present my findings. No, we
I
had some case studies and stuff, but never had to explain it. Yeah, no, that's a huge weakness. Yeah,
I mean, seriously, for someone who's not a risk manager, uh, be quite frank, risk management departments can make a ton of money just in giving out or selling their reports for people who have insomnia and sleep issues.
yeah,
You know,
it's
uh, we suck at communication.
yeah, no, that's true. We
There's one person on LinkedIn who's doing presenting quantitative risk ideas who I really like because
yeah
they're the only one that you can A, they present a very nice graphic. B, they actually communicate like a human,
yeah yeah
uh, although it's maybe AI written. Um, but you actually want to read. And all this other stuff is, I'm so smart, I'm going to write this so only four other people in the world will understand what I'm writing. But boy, are they going to think I'm brilliant.
yeah yeah
And in reality, if you take the time to go through it, you realize that it's really apropos of nothing. So who cares?
yeah exactly. Yeah, yeah. It good communication makes such a big difference, and it does show that you have a full understanding of something. That's when you can start communicating it well.
And one more thing, telling it like it is. How many
Yeah,
risk reports have in it a section of here's what we don't know, and
yeah,
here's the data that we really need?
yeah, yeah. Not often. Not. Yeah, not sure I ever see that actually.
How
Yeah.
many regulatory risk reports have gone back with you are studying or asking the wrong questions?
Yeah, yeah,
Here is
exactly.
the data and the analysis you requested, but
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Hey,
we all know the old statement: there's lies to analyze, and then there's statistics. But if you
yeah,
really want to lie, you get into econometrics and financial modeling.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, but more honesty. But I have a quick tangent to go on because you mentioned LinkedIn, and I must say uh, I'm getting yeah, kind of frustrated at the amount of it, a lot of it seems to be AI written now, and nobody. I remember when I was in university, we were threatened by professors who said if you don't cite the works that you use, you can be expelled. It's a serious offense, and that was hit home, and I take it seriously, and I reference stuff that I use, but I don't see anybody saying, "Hey, I used AI. This is how I used AI. This is where it went right. This is where it went wrong. Um, I checked it. Hey, I used AI, but I checked it. That would be nice to know sometimes." It's just given as people's work. It's kind of dishonest, isn't it? I mean, like this.
Well, in mathematics, we have, QED at the end of a proof. We
Mm,
need something similar to put at the end of an article to say for various levels of how much was done by AI, whether it was AI
yeah,
generated, whether it was AI proofed, whether it was
yeah,
AI concept. We need like a quick little symbol at the end of articles, but
yep. We do. And it's fine. It's fine if you use it. We just finished the student essay contest about how regulation needs to change over the next 5 years, which actually popped in my head when you were talking because it was nice. It was very idealistic, right? Students like I
yeah.
think we spoke to each other about this. They don't really study financial regulation in their courses. It might be in some of the bigger programs, but I never studied regulation. I never knew what Basel was during my master's program. Didn't study it. So you get very idealistic responses, which is nice. It's refreshing. It's like, wow, this interesting. Wouldn't work, but it's interesting. But I would love to see practitioners submit on the same topic. And I reckon, if they're honest, it would be around communication. Give us straight answers. What do you want? We want to be able to respond straightforwardly, and not have this, vague,
Well, I know when I was head of a desk,
Mm.
head of a trading desk, easily 30% of my communication time, in prep or whatever, was dealt
Yeah.
with regulation.
Yeah.
Easily 30%.
Right.
I spent significant amount of times, a significant amount of time at, I had to deal with two main regulators at the time.
Mm.
Significant amount of time.
Yeah. 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 Anyway, so back to communication.
That's just tell it like it is. And
Yeah.
I'm hungry. I gotta get breakfast.
Yeah.
Tim Hortons is gonna be open soon. I gotta go.
Nice. Okay. On that note, we'll see you next time, Rick. Take care.